We all know it's hard to keep a roof over our families' heads these days, especially here in California. There are not enough places to rent or buy, and the rents are too damn high. So let's talk about what's happening, why it's happening, and how we can fix it.
Go solve your housing crisis.
What kinds of apartments or rentals are being built? 20 years ago, we had a decent mix of affordable units and some expensive ones. But slowly that changed. In 2016, developers mainly built expensive luxury apartments and fewer units that most people could afford to live in. Why? Well, right now we rely on private developers to build new housing. And they're not idiots. Building new luxury apartments makes them more money. They can either charge higher rents, or they can sell them off at a higher price to wealthy investors.
Housing in investment opportunities.
So my next question is, why are we leaving the decisions about what kinds of housing to build up to developers? Well, what does a developer do? They pick a location to build first, a place where they know they'll make the most money. And then they hire architects, construction companies, property managers, and a team for repairs. And how do they pay for it? Well, usually not with cash. They either go to a bank and get a loan, or wealthy investors will invest in the project. So it doesn't seem like developers doing anything special to me. In fact, it's working Americans who are doing the actual work of building and maintaining all the housing we see around us.
Attention, American workers.
So what if I told you we could become the developers instead? Well, not us specifically, but our states or municipalities, our towns and cities. Our local or state governments could build new housing with totally different priorities. This is the social housing model. New federal legislation would give your state or city access to low-interest loans directly from the federal government. And with that money, your state or city could take the place of a developer and start building much-needed, high-quality housing with low rents for all American people. Rents will be lower than they are for rentals today, because rents will be used to cover maintenance and bills, not maximize profits for developers and shareholders. It'll be available to everyone, regardless of income. And you'll never make too much to be disqualified from living there. Pairing that with strong rent controls and tenant rights, and you can be sure that this can be a long-term home for you and your family if you want it to be. Tenants and staff will get to democratically make decisions about how their housing is run. Which upgrades are you going to prioritize? Which repairs are most urgently needed? These are decisions that you can make together with your neighbors. Contrast this with how it works now, where developers and landlords make decisions not based on what you and your fellow tenants need, but based on what's best for their bottom line. And importantly, with a mixed income model, social housing can pay for itself. That means some families pay a little more and others pay a little less, depending on their income. But that also means it doesn't cost your state or municipality extra money to run, and the initial loan can be paid back. And with tenants paying less rent, states and cities will see more money spent in the local economy, benefiting even those that don't live in the social housing. Making more and decent affordable housing is still profitable, but developers don't do it because it isn't profitable enough for them. But we don't need a developer or investor's permission to build more housing. It's our land and it's our labor. If we want to dedicate our efforts towards building more housing for millions of people where it's actually needed, we can do so. We can make it so we don't have to balance long commutes with slightly cheaper rent. We can make it easier for young people to live independently and start their own families. And we can make it so we don't have to move away from the places we grew up or the people we love in search of housing. Ultimately, this is our choice. We can wait around for the developers to save us. Or we can decide that there is a lot of housing to be built, that the American people are ready to do that work, and that together we can create a country in which it's easier for all of us to prosper. My name is Harpreet Chima. I'm running for U.S. Congress in California's 9th District. Local developers certainly aren't lining up to donate, but we don't want their donations either. So if you're able, contribute what you can at the link below and help us take this fight to Washington, D.C.